Everybody wants to be wanted. That inherently is the viral method. Now, how that plays out in 2019 has very pervasive undertones aligned with it. Let's unpack this idea of the wanting to be wanted mindset. In computer science, this is called a dependency. For example, a line of code cannot be executed without the required files that other lines of code within it that define the parameters of the dependency itself, also known as recursion. In real life, the idea of wanting to be wanted is also known as utility value. Now, it is impossible to be totally independent within the natural world. To assume that one is totally independent essentially means that the person is dead. Literally. A human being cannot exist without utility and utilization, or the ability to be used and the ability to use more specifically. I think that the problem that lies within various manospheres and MGTOW and the red pill itself is that some of these men really think that they are absolved from this utility utilization relationship just because they have hundreds of thousands of subs, or they have a great career, or they have some sort of qualifier that supposedly validates their quote unquote independentness. However, all this does is just reiterates the utility utilization concept that I've just outlined. Most people in general don't understand this concept, which is allowing them to be manipulated by the people that actually do understand this utility utilization concept. Take the idea of love. A human being on this earth cannot define love. Their definitions of it actually define other terms, such as care, support, lust, and devotion. Now, it's this subjective obfuscation of the pseudo term known as love that has been the motivator for so many inconsistencies that exist in 2019, as well as in history's past. For example, men's trivial search for unconditional love has put them in relationships that have led them to divorce and subsequently suicide. Men's trivial pursuit for unconditional love has led them to historical wars. You see, this, my listeners, is the quote unquote toxic masculinity. This pursuit for unconditional love. Love doesn't exist. No matter how many times I prove this fact to be true, it will always fall on deaf ears because, as I said earlier, stupid women and stupid men define their lives around this pseudo term called unconditional love. They will once again use their parental care and support as the basis of anecdotal evidence. Allow me to disprove this as well. If every parent knew that their children would go against everything that they told them not to do, would they still care and support them the same? The answer is no. And parents that lie to their children and say that they would is only going up against the test of time. And remember, time always wins. No man or woman can stand up against the test of time. Which is to say this: children grow up and they find out that love isn't real as well. Which is why you're seeing the rise of atheism again. Because the atheist mind is the natural state. The natural state is that we exist only to survive for a period of time and then we die. We cannot escape this. Now, everything in between is just a placeholder for our destiny. Don't get mad at me. I don't make the rules, all right? It is what it is. Back to the utility utilization concept. The utility utilization concept is made for the human being to survive another day. This is where wants and needs are derived from. There are two terms that highlight the extreme versions of wants and needs. Minimalism, as defined by Merriam-Webster, is a style or technique, as in music, literature, or design, that is characterized by extreme spareness and simplicity. Personally, I am a minimalist because minimalism is the idea that I don't need much to be satisfied. I have a real connection with this statement. I don't need much to be satisfied. That is the heart of minimalism. Minimalism is the extreme need term. In other words, the essentials for survival. On the other end of the spectrum of needs and wants is this. Hedonism, as defined by Merriam-Webster, is the doctrine that pleasure or happiness is the sole or chief good in life. Hedonism is the idea that I need to be happy to be satisfied. Hedonism is subjective, which is why an individual's hedonism cannot be gauged. It's dynamic. It's ever-changing. Women rely on hedonism, this school of thought that I need to be happy to be satisfied. Being that hedonism cannot be defined objectively, this is what makes hedonism a want rather than a need. Wants are ever-changing and cannot be defined objectively. The wanting person is the fool because they cannot determine why they want something in order to be happy. They rely on their instincts or impulses to define their actions. If you cannot define why you want something, do you really want it? If you cannot define why that person, place, or thing has a wanting value to you, how do you know you need it? I bring this concept up throughout all of my videos because I am challenging your thought. The viral method, how people become viral on the internet, is through this trivial pursuit of being wanted by a public that these content creators will never meet in real life. That these content creators will never get 99% of the subs share of wallet. That these content creators will never get the world's approval that they so seek. Now, mind you, there are about 7.8 billion people in this world, give or take a few basis points. Now, the most famous YouTuber hasn't even broken 1 billion subs, whoever that is. Not even Jeff Bezos, the wealthiest man in the world, is known by everyone in the world. Once again, what is the purpose of wanting the most subs? What is the purpose of going viral? Recognition is irrelevant if it doesn't equate to the utility utilization model that I've declared previously. If you as an individual are not getting anything out of an exchange to put food on your table, to put clothes on your back, to put a roof over your head, to give you an education, to give you a career, then what you're doing is worthless to yourself. That applies for relationships, content creation, decision making, all of it. Our actions become trivial if it isn't meant to improve the self in some sort of material way. My own content creation brings value to myself because I'm challenging all of the men of this world to rethink their position. My content creation brings value to me because I'm breaking the mold. I'm going against the grain to show the world that just because everyone is following doesn't make it valid. Just because something is popular doesn't make it correct. Just because something is popular doesn't bring material value to your life. That's it. That's exactly it. And these stupid men and stupid women want to be popular because they think it brings material value to their lives. At what end does popularity, the viral method, bring material value to your life? I'm still waiting for the answer. You can't take your fame with you when you die. Sorry. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. YouTube subs are irrelevant if they're not willing to share the message. Content creation is irrelevant if the people listening aren't willing to share the message. Relationships are irrelevant if the spouse brings nothing of material value to the table. Pussy and children are not entities of material value in the present. In other words, if their financial, intellectual, and decision-making actions are not equal or better than yours in the present, then they are irrelevant. Furthermore, children are not beholden to live out the parents' values at any time throughout their lifetime, which means that the children will bring no material value to the parents in the present unless they actually choose to bring financial, intellectual, and decision-making actions to the parent that actually improves the utility utilization model or increases the parent's ability to survive in the present. This is why no human being is ever equal to another. This is also why relationships are irrelevant to the one that brings more financial, intellectual, and decision-making actions to the table. In most instances, this is usually the man. This is why MGTOW is growing exponentially, because what does a woman bring to the table other than a loose pussy, unmanaged emotions, and bad financial, intellectual, and decision-making actions? I'm still waiting. Once again, women will use irrelevant conclusions, straw man arguments, or any number of logical fallacies to justify their lack of material value in 2019. The hotter the woman, the harder the man's simping. Lord, overlay.